On a quiet winter evening in Chicago, a young man named Ethan Walker stood outside a closed restaurant, staring through the window at people laughing inside, wishing his life felt even half as warm as that moment. At 31, Ethan felt like he was running out of time. Once a bright student with big dreams, he now worked double shifts at a gas station, barely earning enough to survive. His father, a factory worker, had passed away when Ethan was 12, leaving him with the responsibility of taking care of his younger sister. His mother cleaned houses across the city, and Ethan grew up believing that success came only to people who already had it. After high school, he tried college but dropped out when bills piled up. He started small businesses, delivered food, repaired old electronics in his basement, anything to climb out of the hole, but every attempt failed. Each failure left a bruise on his confidence until Ethan began to believe he was destined for an invisible, unnoticed life. On that cold night, as snow fell quietly around him, he opened his wallet and found only $6. His bus card had zero balance. He had walked 3 miles to get to work and faced another long walk back home. The wind stung his eyes, but the truth was, those weren't the only reasons tears filled them. He felt like a ghost in a city full of dreams he could never reach. But as Ethan turned to leave, an elderly black man dressed in a warm brown coat, walking with a cane, noticed his shivering and stopped beside him. "Son, are you okay?" he asked gently. Ethan nodded, but the man didn't move. He looked at Ethan the way someone looks when they've lived enough life to see the pain others are hiding. "You've been carrying too much for too long," the man said softly. "People who carry the most often show it the least." Those words hit Ethan in places he didn't know words could reach. Without knowing why, he found himself confessing everything: the failures, the broken hopes, the exhaustion of trying to be strong for everyone else while falling apart inside. The old man listened patiently, then smiled. "My name is Clarence," he said. "I've seen men lose battles, but I've never seen a man lose if he refused to stop fighting." Clarence pulled a folded sheet of paper from his coat pocket. "This," he said, "is a routine I used to rebuild my own life when I had nothing. If you follow it for 90 days, I promise you, your life will not look the same." Before Ethan could ask anything, Clarence added, "Meet me at the riverfront bench tomorrow at 6. If you show up, we'll talk. If you don't, life stays the same." For the first time in years, Ethan felt a tiny spark of direction. The next day, after work, he arrived at the riverfront, his breath forming tiny clouds in the cold air. Clarence was already there, smiling. Over the next several months, Clarence trained him like a mentor from a movie, teaching him discipline, financial literacy, emotional intelligence, communication skills, and most of all, how to think differently. He taught Ethan to wake up at 5, read for 30 minutes, exercise, journal, and spend 1 hour daily learning a high-income skill. Clarence introduced him to online freelancing, taught him digital branding, and pushed him through every moment he wanted to quit. Ethan would return home exhausted but strangely alive, as if he could finally feel something other than disappointment. His first small win came when he earned $150 helping a local bakery design a digital menu. It wasn't much, but to Ethan, it felt like winning the lottery. He ran to tell Clarence the news only to find the bench empty. The next day, he returned. Empty again. Days turned into weeks, and still no sign of Clarence. Worried, Ethan visited the local community center where Clarence had once mentioned volunteering. The receptionist recognized him and gently said, "Clarence passed away 3 weeks ago. He had cancer. He spoke about you often. He said you were his last student." Ethan's heart broke, not just from the loss, but from realizing he had been guided by a dying man who used the last months of his life to give someone else a second chance. From that moment, Ethan promised to honor him. He worked relentlessly, mastered his skills, took bigger clients, and within 2 years transformed his freelance work into a full digital agency. He began giving motivational talks, sharing Clarence's lessons, helping hundreds of young people who felt lost the way he once did. On the anniversary of Clarence's passing, Ethan stood at the riverfront bench with tears in his eyes and whispered, "I made it, because you believed I could." That night, as he walked through the glowing Chicago streets, he finally understood the truth Clarence had tried to teach him from the beginning. Sometimes the person who changes your life appears when you at your lowest, stays just long enough to guide you, and leaves so you can learn to walk on your own. And from that day forward, Ethan became living proof that even the coldest winter can stop a heart that refuses to give up.